Alright. Not for the faint of heart, but you can redo this circle on there. Actually ended up flipping it upside down, clamping her. I screwed that block down, and I extended the drill bit tip. So I'm going to hit the wood with the drill bit tip, use it to center my spot, and then I'm going to drill down through the wood and the metal, like that. And that's the way I will correct this little issue, and then I'll use the grinder to finish shaping and take off what excess I need to. Should go pretty easy. Okay, so now we're into angle finding. Here's my bracket I showed you me building. All I did was I cut this with a notch so it lands in there. Right, and then we're gonna weld those together. And then this piece can be removed together. So right now what I'm figuring out is right here, the angle, the length, and the bevel. I've already cut one down to 13¼ Probably cut this one down a little bit. 13¼ gives me a margin of error because it's like 3/4 more than I need. And then we're just making, see that angle binder? We're gonna match them, make sure that they're the same distance off of center. And I've got to figure out my bevels for joining. Because if you think about it, you're tilted this way, right? But you're also behind that point. So you got to cut your pipe a little different to make it oblong and then also stretch to one side or the other. So I'm working on that. I'll bring you over there now. Alright, so I've got a start of a bevel, right? What I'm doing now is I'm cutting back more on one side than the other side, so it's now tippable, right? We're kind of tipping it into a spot. This is a practice one, which I highly suggest you do before you do anything like this. This is not racing standard stuff. I'm just making a little more rigid the rear of my car for fun and fabrication time, you know, in the seat really. You know, if I were bucket loads of money, I would have just bought something, right? But I like to figure this shit out on my own, save myself a buck here or there, and learn something along the way. So we got, this is my first time ever doing this. I'm just gonna be using the grinder bit, doing this, and protecting my face, because you know I'm pretty so far, so gotta keep that, and go on from there. Just figure out your own methodologies to things. And take your time, practice, and just make sure that you're measuring, you know, 5 times and you're cutting once. All right, it's in and in place. I'll kind of go over some stuff that I didn't have time to do because I was running out of time there, and I for welding and whatnot. So I just wanted to get her together, get her on, get her done, right? And in place, and my seat back together. So I have to paint this, prime it, paint it, blah. They are not the most impressive welds you have ever seen. I didn't do it. I am not a welder. What a surprise, right? So basically, I got a lock nut and a thing on bolt on each side. I have to pull this whole unit out of here right now, and then I'll be probably taking the brackets off of the shock strut tower, and then I will be, you know, just get everything cleaned off, make sure that it's not going to rust, right? There is some more grinding to be done to make it a little prettier, and hopefully there are less inclusions down below, but we went through this like a couple times. The only mistake I made, oops, sorry about that. The only mistake I made was the twist of that versus the twist of this. They're not exactly perfect, you know, but the idea being that this is just a rigidity bar, right? So I drove back with this all in place and locked on. Oh my God, what a difference. It made it so that the car didn't feel like you're a skateboarder and you're tipping it via your back point, because there is a wishbone, I believe it's called a wishbone, rear axle. Let's see You see right there, that's a bushing in the middle of essentially what is the rear axle, right? So that's a wishbone style, what would you call that, suspension? I guess suspension. So it would feel like it would tip to one side or the other, and it kind of felt like you'd be up on, oh, sorry. Let's get that drill light on, huh? That helps a bit. And so right now, by tying these two together, I'm making it so that the wishbone has something to fight against, right? From above. So this is your bottom point, right? And this is your top point. So just by putting this bar between the two and then hooked to the top of the shock strut towers, it makes it so that the left-hand side fights the right-hand side and the right-hand side fights the left-hand side, which leads to a more stiff chassis, which leads to better turning, faster turning, more G-forces available, and more grip available. I mean, the grip difference between this and what I had before is crazy, actually. You can grip and rip right now with this sucker. So it's obvious why people, do a rear shock strut tower bar, and it's all hidden behind my seat. And if you put everything back in place the way that it's supposed to, you can barely see it, right? If you imagine the seats in here too, you see even less. So, but it does leave more area right in here if I needed to throw something under here, or even on top. I got enough room right there. But now, so, it's a hatchback now. Without the seats and stuff in, it's easier to do such thing, right? Kind of makes it look race car. Oh my god, it's like it's a race car. I'm going to drive so fast. Kidding. So now, pull apart, mark, blah, grind a little bit more, or sand a little bit more, depending on how I want to go about it. And potentially maybe filling a little bit if there are little inclusion, but I'm hoping for I think it's etching, or there's a sandable, paintable, blah 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 primer, metal primer that will do a lot of help for filling our little terrible wells. But there are always options, right? This is pretty strong. I mean, that's just for fun, right? Ooh, yeah. Just kidding. You literally saw nothing with that. I took my tire out. I put my tool bag and whatnot in where the bottom here is, right? Because it's below this point here. I put another layer here, and then I pack on top of that, and I can pack the shit out of this car. I love it. I actually am a big fan of the 200SX. This is not the SR20. It is the GA something something. So essentially what it is a 1.8 liter inline 4. It's pretty cool. It's pretty powerful. It's not, so powerful. It's a very good learner's car. Let's put it that way. Because you can't just put on the power and have it just completely lose control because it has that much power. It's probably in the 100 and, I don't know, maybe 200 horsepower. Nah, I kind of, I doubt it's 200. So this was just really for me to play around and to learn and to grow and get better at working on cars. So we were figuring out the angle there, right? That was the last thing I left you with before I had to just get her welded and get her done, and I apologize that I didn't show you more of this. But I started to figure out to match these two and to get this weld together. It's not easy. You bevel in a certain direction, you do the thing, blah, 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 and then you line it up, and then you tack weld it, and then you pull it out of position, and then you weld the final. But, yeah, I'll show you in a second, kind of a demonstration of how it operates.